Welcome to the Top Dog Mindset Podcast, where we unlock the secrets of running a successful dog training business. I'm your host, Kevin, joined by my co-host, Angel. Together, we bring you expert insights, inspiring stories, and practical tips. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we're here to provide you with the necessary information to build a thriving dog training company. So relax, join us with a cup of coffee as we explore the Top Dog Mindset Podcast.
All right, welcome in everybody to another episode of the Top Dog Mindset Podcast. Kevin and Angel here, and today we got kind of a funny episode for you guys because we're going to be going through our group, the Dog Trainer Community, and just reading off some of the comments and responses to some of the posts I've been putting up in there about just like funny things that that everyone kind of goes through as business owners. So before we hop into that, Angel, what's going on with you? How's your day going so far?
It's going pretty good. Pretty low-key day, which I enjoy those because it gives me a chance to work on like smaller projects without any interruptions. Which
Yeah, for sure.
I think you can relate.
Yeah,
But
totally.
it's going good.
Good. Anything that has been like coming up with like clients or anything like that that you've been like seeing more recently, like that is like kind of a trend this time of year or anything like that?
I do feel like this time of year I feel like it can kind of be a hit or miss for people depending on if this is like a faster time of year or busier time of year versus slower. And I've noticed that like for some people it could be like one complete opposite or the other, if that makes sense. I can't really put my finger on it. Some people say like, oh, I always get slower during this time of year with kids going back to school. But then I hear the same exact thing for people who get busier for this time of year. I get busier when kids go back to school. So it's strange. But a big trend that I have been doing with a lot of our clients is doing like re-engagement campaigns. I feel like this has just been the season of getting people to like truly understand the importance of reaching out to old leads. And I'm getting so many people on board with it, and I love it. Granted, it should be an all year round thing. I'll have to add that, but it's been, more so lately, which I love.
Yeah. And I mean, we have something really cool coming from that too. Like we're working on a really, really built out solid, like follow-up sequence, like even better than what we have in place right now. So I'm excited to launch that as well for all of our clients. But yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that. Like I always think that as well. Like I've spoken to people and they'll be like, I mean, you know how September is, or you know how October is, and then you talk to other people and they're like, either like, I'm so booked in that time of year, that's my busiest time of year, or my slowest time of year. So I definitely think that there's probably a geographical trend to that. Different times of year, maybe, you're in the Northeast or something like that. It gets freezing cold in the winter, not as easy to sell private training if you're going to be outside. So I think that definitely exists. But part of that also comes into what I always talk about with people is like, hey, draw your own conclusions, because I've had a lot of people say that to me, like I'm slow, and I've always heard that from my friend who's a trainer in this area, and I'm always kind of like, yeah, just draw your own conclusion, because like there could be something to that, and there can definitely be trends, but I feel like I've spoken to people who they start preparing for it to get slow because they hear other people saying that it's going to get slow, and then all of a sudden it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point,
Yeah, exactly. But also preparing for slower times, even if you don't end up being slow, is great. Like it's always good to get ahead of it, get yourself booked out.
For sure. Yeah. Well, let's jump into this. So this was a funny one. So we had posted in the group, what's the most petty reason you've ever rejected a lead, and would you do it again? So we're going to read through some of these just because they were kind of crazy, to be frank. And Angel, I want to hear some of your favorite ones. And I'll start with this. So Tara posted in here, not petty, but most mind-blowing. I was talking to a guy that seemed super interested. Then he told me how when his dog digs, he fills the hole with water and holds her head underwater. Yeah, we're not the company for you, but hang tight. I'll get you a ride. Yeah, I mean, this is just like self-explanatory, absolutely psychotic behavior, At first, I thought when we were reading this, like I was trying to make sense of it. And I thought Tara was saying that the dog was actually waterboarding the owner. And I was like, well, how are you letting your dog do that to you? Like, you need to be like an active participant in like letting that happen. But this is even more psychotic.
Yeah.
To do this to your dog. So, Angel, what are your thoughts on that?
I think this is absolutely wild. It kind of in a way goes I feel like kind of goes along with the same thing where like people shove their dog's face in like their pee or their poop or whatever if they
Yeah.
use a bathroom inside. Some people truly don't know better and they feel like, you know, if I shove my dog's face in it, they'll understand like, oh, I don't need to go to the bathroom, or I shouldn't go to the bathroom inside because I don't want that to happen, but that's just like not how it goes. But like this goes along like the same realm, but like to an extreme version. And I feel like there's just, you can't make sense of this. There's no logical reason behind like why this person would think that this is okay.
Yeah, I'm not
The
gonna lie.
dog,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, like, the dog is not going to like put all those pieces together. Let me
Yeah,
not dig holes so that way I don't drown.
exactly. There's something that kind of is giving me like a Jeffrey Dahmer kind of energy about this move
Yeah.
of like, yeah, suffocating your dog underwater, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's a pretty wild move, I'm not gonna lie. So the next thing we have in here is, this is just a funny one because I actually experienced this recently. So Heather put in here, I couldn't even get a single word in on the phone while trying to get an evaluation booked. Flat out told her I couldn't help her if she kept interrupting me. It wouldn't let me talk, and wished her luck finding a trainer. Okay, I had to flat out tell somebody this recently too, just because maybe it was just one of those days for me where I just was not ready for that. I just was maybe feeling a little bit of like compassion fatigue or something, but
Yeah.
they couldn't necessarily stay on topic. And all I could think about is like, if this is how our initial reaction is going, and I'm asking you a specific question, and you're just taking it in, 10 degrees away from what the initial question was, we're never going to be able to build a business together. And so I just had to tell this person, like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. But yeah, this is a tricky one, because what I always tell all of our clients, like, you got to let people vent to you a little bit and let them feel like they're being heard and understood in the sales process. But there's a big difference between somebody venting and telling you about like all of the frustrations they have around their dog and their training and stuff like that, and somebody just not letting you speak and just using you as just like a sounding board or something like that.
Exactly. And yeah, I'm assuming that Heather is referring to just that. Like, not just like the whole initial conversation where the client is venting, but just all in all, interrupting everything. I don't blame her
No, totally not.
because then that's, it's just not gonna go well. If you're needing to coach this other person and they just continue like interrupting with their opinion or what they think is the right thing to do versus what they're told and all of that, like it's just going to be a headache in the end. So I don't blame her on that one.
100%, yeah. So Angel, do you have any that you picked out of here that you think are like funny, or that like stuck out to you or anything like that?
Yeah, so maybe not like necessarily funny, but this last one that Brandon said, if I hear anything along the lines of, I just need you to fix my dog, or any statement that shows the chances of the owner having any follow through are slim to none. Yeah, I agree with that. Just like people just straight up saying, like, just that, like, I just need you to fix my dog. It doesn't really inspire confidence in the fact that, like, they want to learn about what the issue is and they want to learn how to be a participant in fixing the issue, and they
Yeah.
want to learn how to continue maintaining that training or that management long term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever I relate this to my business, it's like, or our business, I should say, when people come to me and say they're like so frustrated, they're so burned out, just they say something like, I just need just better ads, right? And then you kind of look through their ad account, and the truth is like, I'm pretty honest with people. Like if I see, and someone comes to me for a sales call and we do like an audit, they want me to look at their ad account or something, and I think it's doing well and they're getting leads from it, I'll straight up tell them, like, I don't think you have a lead generation issue here. I think you have a sales problem. And
Mm-hmm.
most times people are open to that, but we've worked with people in the past and it hasn't worked out. And, I've turned many people away because they have this attitude of like, just fix my problem. Just fix my
Mm-hmm.
problem. And like, you just do your job, I'll do mine. And the problem with that is that they're going to come back in 60 days or 30 days or even 2 weeks and start blaming you and be like, I told you I need better leads. It's like, I told you need a better sales process,
Yeah.
And so there's limitations on this. And, I've been through this recently. I feel like we've been in a season of having to deal with difficult situations, and it just always reminds me, it's never worth the money. It's never worth signing up that client if they have this attitude where they come to you just expecting you to be Superman and save all, or fix all their problems and save the day, because it just doesn't work like that. It's a business partnership, and that goes for dog trainers as well. There's going to be a lot expected of the clients that you work with. They're going to need to do certain things, and if they just have that attitude of just fix the problem, it's never going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to be open-minded enough to hear that they might potentially be doing something that is playing a part in their dog's issues. If it's not like them specifically, it could be something, in their lifestyle that is causing their dog to lose out on something that it needs.
For sure. All right, so I have two more here. So Jeff Allen, we rejected this dude named Dwayne Freeman one time because I didn't like his hair. Petty, yes, would do it again. I would do the same thing, Jeff. I'm only kidding around. Dwayne's been a longtime great client of ours, and he got a kick out of this as well. The next thing here is Dom put in here, booked a program, first session. I started to teach and build structure. His cell phone rings, hands over the leash to his 6-year-old kid, and points to me to keep teaching his kid how to do it, and starts talking on the phone. He paid cash. I took the money, put it on the counter, and left. That was like 8 years ago. Yeah, I've had this too, where like, I'm doing a sales call with somebody, and they put me on the phone with like a child, like a 12-year-old or something like that. And it's really, I don't want to overstate it, but it is so unbelievably insulting that like all you're doing is just sticking me with somebody who couldn't make a decision. And in this case, like, is not going to be able to train the dog. And yeah, I mean, Angel, have you ever like dealt with anything like this? Like, have you been in situations where you're like end up working with a child?
Yes, a lot actually. So I've been in situations like that where the owner is trying to involve the child too much in the beginning, like before they even sign up, whether it's over the phone or in the consultation, like the child is just involved in things that are supposed to be like a adult conversation, because the child isn't going to make a decision on a $4,000 program, right? That I don't like, but I have had a lot of clients where I ended up primarily working, I shouldn't say a lot. I had one client actually where I was primarily working with the child, but I've had many where I was also working with the kids in the turnover lesson. I actually really, really enjoy it. Generally, like whenever I'm in the consultation, we're talking about, the whole family and who's has like certain responsibilities with the dog, who does the dog hang out with more, who, literally everything. I want to know everything about the entire family. And yeah, usually they'll tell me how they want their kids to be involved in the training. I love that, depending on the age of the kids, of course. I think the youngest that I worked with was maybe like 5 or 6-ish.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah, but I always kind of use my own discretion too. Like I will work with the kid a little bit and I'll kind of like see how they're doing. The parent is always the priority, of course, because the adult needs to understand everything. And I always have a conversation with them regarding like the e-collar. Like I will straight up tell them, I do not recommend your child using the e-collar because in the event that it's used wrong, these are the things that could potentially happen from that. But the kid's like understanding, the dog's language and how to handle the leash and stuff like that. I love that. But I think it has to be like to an extent, like the adult needs to understand that like they come first, they need to understand everything first, and then after that, the kid can kind of come in and, start all of that stuff. But I had a client, still to this day, one of my favorite clients, and he was, I want to say he was 13 or 14 years old. And when I went in for the consultation, the entire family was there. I was primarily talking with the parents because obviously they were the ones paying for it. But the kid was very, very involved in the conversation too, to understand like how important it is to follow through and do your homework and all this kind of stuff. The dog did a board and train. When I went back, I actually did the turnover with the child. It was literally just me and him, and he was amazing. I told him, I'm like, I am so freaking proud of you. Like, you're doing so good. I continued checking in with him afterwards, but yeah, he was the main person that I did the turnover with. And then towards the end, I did speak with the parents about like some basics, but he was literally the main one, and he upheld that training and he continued doing his homework every day, and they would like send me little videos on Instagram and stuff like that. It was really nice.
Yeah, That kid needs
But
to like pursue a career in dog training, probably.
yeah, he did really, really good. You know, he would ask all of the right questions when we were out working with the dog on some leash work. There was another reactive dog that came by and he was like asking questions through that whole process. Like, what do I do if she does this? And what do I do like if another dog, you know, is doing this and all that kind of stuff. It was great. Also,
Wow.
obviously I have two kids, and Harper was always like very heavily involved because she loved it. She loved to be involved and she always showed an interest. And so that was nice because when I did talk with clients who had kids, I would tell them like I have kids too, and you know, I will be able to, I would have Harper, my daughter, work with the dogs as long as it was safe, of course.
Yeah.
But I feel like that kind of helped. Like they would see another kid like working with the dog, and you know, as long as you're doing it properly, we can absolutely help you. So yeah.
For sure. Yeah, that's a great story. I mean, it just goes to show you that, like, I think a common thread here between all of this is taking responsibility for anything that you do in life, whether that's like a dog training program or whether we partner with a client and there's responsibility on our end, responsibility on their end. And that's just every single business and relationship in life, you know? And
Hmm.
so, yeah, I mean, I just think that we saw that in a couple of these comments here where people are just kind of like have this expectation of just fix my problem. And then what I always think about, I'll never forget, like I've in the past, I've had the pleasure of like working with some like fairly higher profile people in just different situations in life and watching them be able to do things that while balancing this life of being like a model or a celebrity or a really successful business person and being able to balance like this other thing that you asked them. So I'm sure some of you have like heard this as well, like seen this. I'm sure you've seen the other side where people are like super rich and just are like, I don't have the time to do this or whatever. But I've actually found like quite a few people that I've worked with that are uber successful people. If you ask them to do something, they see the value in it. They're like, I'm paying you for your time. I'm going to do
Hmm.
that thing. And not to, you know, bash anybody, like you can kind of see the people who don't do the things that you ask them to do, how that kind of like manifests in other areas of their life as well. You know, it's like, oh, you're
Yeah.
always kind of struggling for money, or you're always like dealing with some sort of drama, or you're always kind of like sick, or you're always kind of just like whatever it may be, you know, run down. It's because they just really don't, they struggle with taking accountability and personal responsibility in life and just implementing that.
Yeah, that makes me think of this one client. It wasn't a client of mine. It was a client of Jenny's actually. But I went to a few, I think, follow-up lessons with her afterwards. But this man, I think he was a heart surgeon or something like that.
Uh-huh.
He was freaking loaded.
Yeah.
His house, I think, was like close to $3 million. His dog had a house. And like it wasn't like a little dog house. It was like a straight up a separate building with
Yeah.
like a run attached to it. And yeah, so when I first went and I saw that, I'm like, this isn't good.
Yeah.
But then I started like seeing the dog's progress, and I was seeing the guy like interact with the dog and be like very involved in the lessons and stuff like that. I met his wife once and she was very hands off. It was a little weird. There was like kind of some tension, but she seemed to like not really be interested in the training. It was all him. He at one point, I think on more than one occasion had to step away because he was like getting calls from the hospital and whatnot. But right after he would come right over and he did really good. And
Yeah.
I feel like that just goes to show like he is very, very busy, obviously, as a heart surgeon.
Uh-huh.
He had a lot of house, a lot of responsibility, but he also knew the value and what he was getting into, and he maintained it.
Yeah, and so like I'm not going to name this person just because like I don't want to like, you know, put anybody's name out there, but they were like a super high like if I said their name, you would know exactly who they were in a heartbeat. And I remember talking to her and asking her to do a couple of things, and she was like, "Okay, I'll do this," and asked me like 5 questions. How do I do this? It just did it. And I remember being like, "You are on," like you would see her on Instagram like taking a jet and going to, you know, Milan for like a fashion show and coming back like later that day. And all this stuff, having a family and just all this different stuff that she was involved in. And then you're doing this thing, and then you have other people who are like, again, I'm not trying to bash anybody, but they have like, you know, they work between the hours of 9 to 5 and they're like, I just don't have time. It's like, you do though. And it's like, the only thing that what this always comes down to is the only stuff that happens in life is the stuff that you prioritize. And so if you don't have time for it, it's only because you don't prioritize it. You know, I always find myself coming back to this with fitness. I feel like it's the best example. Or for me, I told myself that lie for so long, and I still go through phases where like I'll slip and you know, stop working out for a couple of weeks or something like that, or even a couple of months. Years have gone by for me, and I tell myself the excuse of I just don't have time. And it's like, bro, you don't have 4 hours a week? What is wrong with you? You know, like, you own your own business, you know, like you can find 4 hours in the week to make sure that you don't have a heart attack at 40 years old, you know? So it's just, it's insane. And people, we all do this. We all make excuses. So.
Yeah, I think we can definitely all relate to it in some way. One of our clients, Desiree, was talking about this in one of our group coaching calls about like talks that she has with her clients, because she's on the West Coast and so it's incredibly hot. And I think she wakes up at like 5 or 6 in the morning just to take her dogs out for a walk, because that's the only time that's cool enough for her to be able to go on an enjoyable walk. And she has those same conversations with her clients. And I like, that's a good example. You know what I mean? Like, even like working with your dogs, you can't say like, oh, I never get out with my dogs, or I never, you know, take them on walks or give them any type of exercise because it's just too hot. Like, I don't have time, and it's only, you know, it's only cool-ish at like 5 in the morning. So then wake up at 5 in the morning and do that. Or, you know, you don't have time to work out, wake up at 5 in the morning to do that. Speaking to myself, and I don't do it, by the way. But
it's just like, cool excuse, bro. Nice excuse,
exactly.
you know, like, that's a good one. Yeah. You keep telling yourself that, you know, it's like Alex Hormozy said, like, nobody cares, work harder. And I think like some of us need to hear that. And there's the other side where there's some people who are like masochistic and work so hard and they never let themselves do anything. Cause that can be, this conversation's gone totally in a different direction here, but you can work so hard and convince yourself that all you need to do with your time is work. And that can be a weird thing, because then you never work out, you know, or you never take time to go on a date with your wife or whatever it is. But yeah, it's just, if you are saying I don't have time, it's like you need to find a time, you know, and do other shit with your life. You know, this is like, if anybody like takes anything away from this, like, this has like been a real wake up call to me over the last year, which is like, it's fun, it's cool, it's a great thing to work hard in your business, but you know, set perimeters for yourself where you're like, I need to do other stuff. Because if you don't do other stuff, you're just going to get burned out, and you're going to stop being as efficient in the business. At least that's what happens to me. I start to kind of get like resentful of it or something like that. It's like, this business is taking all my time. It's you're letting it take all your time. It's the only thing you do. It's the only thing you think about.
Yeah, I feel like it's part of just like setting boundaries for yourself. You know, just like you would set boundaries for other people in your business, like clients. Don't call me after this time. Set boundaries for yourself too. Like, don't allow yourself to work 24/7 and not give yourself a life, or not allow yourself to eat or work out or spend time with your family or anything like that. It's, you know, setting boundaries.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, listen, with that being said, we got to run to another call here. So this was a shorter podcast episode, but we got some exciting stuff coming here. So we just added somebody new to our team. Her name's Becca. And so she's going to be helping out a lot with just different cool stuff that we're going to be doing and trying to make the whole experience here for you guys better with the podcast and better with the group and stuff like that. So definitely stay tuned. And as always, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you guys very soon in the next one. See you guys.
Bye, guys.